Something strange is happening inside the world's most famous fast food chain, and the deeper you look, the harder it becomes to ignore. Most people still walk into McDonald's thinking they're getting a simple burger, a quick snack, or a harmless meal on the go. But behind the scenes, behind the marketing, and behind all the slogans you grew up with, McDonald's has been quietly engineering its food in ways most customers would never imagine, and in many cases, probably wouldn't approve of. And when you realize how widespread some of these practices are, you'll understand why so many watchdog groups, researchers, and even former employees are sounding the alarm about what's being served every single day. For years, McDonald's has fought accusations about the quality of its meat. One advocacy group is now pushing the chain to stop serving meat from animals treated with antibiotics, pointing to CDC data showing that 2 million Americans get sick every year and 23,000 die from antibiotic-resistant infections. The crazy part is that this specific practice is banned in over 30 countries, but McDonald's still spends millions lobbying to keep it legal here. And while all that is happening, most Americans have no clue they're consuming it daily. It makes you wonder why one of the biggest corporations in the world is fighting this hard to keep something so controversial alive. That's usually the first sign something deeper is going on. And then you stumble into the chapter of McDonald's history that still makes people queasy today, the era of pink slime. If you've never heard of it, imagine meat scraps so low quality that butchers used to save them for dog food or toss them out completely. Now imagine taking those scraps, washing them with ammonium hydroxide, the same chemical used to clean floors, and turning the result into burger filler. For years, this gooey, bubblegum-colored paste quietly made its way into McDonald's burgers. Food critics compared it to toothpaste, except instead of whitening your teeth, it was supposed to feed your family. Even worse, up to 70% of the ground beef in the United States once contained this stuff. That means 7 out of 10 times someone bought ground beef anywhere, they were buying chemically washed trimmings without even knowing it. From a business standpoint, McDonald's was basically turning trash into profit, garbage into gold, and customers had no idea. People were eating Big Macs with a smile, completely unaware that the meat inside had gone through more chemical treatments than a swimming pool. McDonald's eventually dropped pink slime in 2012 after the public outrage became too big to ignore, but that scandal ended up revealing something even stranger: McDonald's obsession with manufacturing food instead of cooking it. Take Chicken McNuggets. Most customers assume they come from chicken breast cut into small pieces. But behind the scenes, McDonald's only uses 4 nugget shapes: the boot, the bell, the ball, and the bone. It sounds like a nursery rhyme, but it's actually mass production engineering. They grind the chicken, blend it with fillers and binders, push it through industrial molds, and stamp out millions of identical nuggets every single day, all for one reason: speed. These shapes cook evenly in massive batches. They fit perfectly into boxes. They look the same everywhere in the world. But real chicken doesn't look like this. Real chicken doesn't conform to factory geometry. The process is so precise that kids can literally sort nuggets by shape like they're playing with toys. And that's the point. McDonald's isn't carving chicken, it's manufacturing a product. And if the shapes don't bother you, the flavor engineering might. Ever notice how McDonald's burgers and nuggets taste the exact same no matter where you are? Whether you're in New York, Nebraska, or Tokyo, the Big Mac tastes identical. That consistency doesn't happen by accident. It's lab designed. McDonald's strips away natural flavor differences, the kinds that come from what the animal ate or where it was raised, and replaces them with engineered taste profiles. It's like giving every piece of beef the same exact cologne, so no one notices where it came from. The chain wants predictability, not personality, and when you engineer food to taste uniform across 38,000 locations, what you're eating starts to taste less like food and more like a product on an assembly line. Think about your grandmother's cooking. No 2 meals ever tasted exactly the same. That's what real food does. That's what natural ingredients do. McDonald's has taken that natural variability and replaced it with the flavor equivalent of copy and paste. Familiar? Yes. Authentic? Far from it. But here's the part that really catches people off guard. Even after all the scandals and the promises to improve, many of McDonald's meat products still aren't anywhere close to 100% meat. Those nuggets people love? In some batches, less than half of that nugget is actual chicken muscle. The rest is skin, fat, connective tissue, and fillers like soy flour and breadcrumbs. It's the meat version of watering down whiskey. You're paying full price, but half the glass is cheap filler. The burgers aren't immune either. The patties often contain extenders and flavorings to make them hold their shape and taste the same after freezing, shipping, and reheating. McDonald's has mastered the art of making less feel like more. They sell you the idea of premium beef or juicy chicken, but what you're actually eating is held together by starches, additives, and chemical binders that keep everything looking perfect. Imagine a patty so uniform that it could pass as a 3D printed prototype. That's not cooking, that's manufacturing. And once you start thinking about your food that way, it becomes impossible to unsee. All of this leads to the health side of the conversation. Your body doesn't care about branding. Your heart doesn't care how iconic the arches are. It only cares what you're putting inside it. A single Big Mac packs over 1,400 milligrams of sodium, more than half your daily limit. That's a teaspoon of salt before you even think about fries. The saturated fat levels are equally alarming. The way this food is processed strips away nutrients and leaves behind a calorie-dense, chemically engineered meal designed to be cheap, fast, and addictive. Those nuggets, thanks to all the fillers, you're getting fewer nutrients and more empty calories with every bite. It's like ordering steak and getting meatloaf disguised as premium protein. Freezing, long-distance shipping, and industrial frying all destroy what little nutrition is left. And when millions of people eat this stuff regularly, you end up with skyrocketing rates of obesity, heart disease, and type 2 diabetes. It's not just bad luck. It's the natural outcome of eating food engineered for efficiency instead of health. And here's the part that hits people in the wallet. McDonald's loves to claim it's a value chain. But once you understand how they price their meals, that illusion falls apart fast. Take the Quarter Pounder. The name is technically true before cooking, but after grilling, that patty shrinks to about 3 ounces. You're paying for weight that disappears, but the marketing makes you feel like you're getting a deal. The value meals, they exist to upsell you. You walk in for a burger and you walk out with fries, a drink, and maybe dessert because the price difference feels insignificant. That's not savings, that's strategy. Meanwhile, the cost of real meat keeps dropping inside the product while prices keep climbing outside. Fillers are cheap, binders are cheap, flavor engineering is cheap. But the menu price keeps going up because people aren't buying meals, they're buying convenience. And McDonald's knows it. A 4-piece nugget looks small in your hand because it is small. The portion sizes are built to feel bigger through packaging and presentation, not through actual food. And when you start looking at how everything is prepared behind the counter, the picture becomes even clearer. Walk into a McDonald's kitchen, and you won't find chefs seasoning fresh meat. You'll find workers reheating pre-processed patties that arrive frozen by the truckload. Nuggets come pre-shaped, pre-breaded, and pre-cooked. The fresh beef campaigns sound promising, but even that beef goes through machines before it ever hits a grill. Once it's cooked, it often sits in warming trays for up to 20 minutes, long enough for you to run errands and come back. It's less a kitchen and more an assembly line. Henry Ford would admire the efficiency, but your grandmother would be horrified at the lack of anything resembling real cooking. The entire system is designed for speed, uniformity, and profit. Not nutrition, not freshness, not authenticity. This is why every burger and every nugget tastes exactly the same no matter where you go. Because they're not made for flavor, they're made for consistency. They're built to withstand freezing, shipping, reheating, and sitting under a heat lamp. They're built to be identical. But real food isn't identical. Real food has personality, unpredictability, and variation. McDonald's food has none of that, and it's because the company has spent decades eliminating everything that makes meals feel human. And this brings us to a part of the conversation most people never think about: the supply chain itself. The food you order at McDonald's doesn't just come from a kitchen in the back. It comes from a globe-spanning logistics network designed to push out identical products at a scale almost no other restaurant chain on earth even attempts. A McDonald's patty might travel hundreds or thousands of miles before it ever hits a grill. A nugget might pass through factories, storage facilities, distribution centers, and dozens of hands and machines long before it reaches the person taking your order. When a system gets that big, the goal stops being make good food and becomes make consistent product. And those two things are not the same. Every step in the process has been optimized for speed and cost, not flavor or freshness. The beef is ground in industrial facilities, formed into perfectly round patties, frozen at precise temperatures, logged into inventory systems, shipped by the millions, and stored in massive freezers at local restaurants. There's no room for individual judgment. There's no chef making a call on seasoning. It's a machine-like ecosystem built to serve billions of nearly identical meals every year. And once you understand that, you realize McDonald's is less a restaurant and more a manufacturing company wearing a fast food uniform. And this same mindset extends into the way they design their kitchens. Most people think workers stand at grills flipping burgers like a diner from the 1950s. But modern McDonald's kitchens are more like automated stations. Timers tell employees when to flip, when to remove, when to dress the sandwich, and when to box it. There's little room for creativity because creativity leads to inconsistency. If one worker seasons a burger heavier than another, the product becomes unpredictable. McDonald's can't afford unpredictability, so the solution is to remove the human element as much as possible. The cooks become operators, the ingredients become components, and the meal becomes an assembly. And let's talk about those ingredients for a moment. McDonald's often markets the freshness of its ingredients, but once you dive into how they're stored, prepared, and treated, the reality is far from farm to table. Every ingredient is designed for shelf life. The pickles are soaked in preservatives. The buns contain conditioners that keep them soft for weeks. The lettuce arrives pre-shredded, pre-washed in chlorine-based solutions, and packed in sealed bags. Even the onions, something you expect to be freshly chopped, often come dehydrated and are rehydrated with water on site. It's not that these ingredients are unsafe. It's that they're designed for efficiency, not quality. And then there's the oil, the lifeblood of the fryers. McDonald's fries are famous for their taste, but that signature flavor isn't because the ingredients are natural. It comes from a combination of beef flavoring additives and oil blends engineered to preserve taste even after hours of use. The chicken is deep fried in the same oil, meal after meal, batch after batch. And while McDonald's does change the oil regularly, the reality is that the cooked particles, additives, and flavor compounds merge together throughout the day. You're not just tasting fries. You're tasting the flavor footprint of everything that's been dipped into that fryer before your order. And speaking of fries, have you ever wondered why they taste so good, better than fries you make at home? It's because McDonald's fries go through an elaborate pre-cooking process before they even arrive at the restaurant. They're blanched, partially fried, frozen, then shipped. By the time they hit the fryer at your local McDonald's, they've already been cooked twice. This industrial process is why they always taste the same. But it's also why they contain far more ingredients than simply potatoes, salt, and oil. The fries include stabilizers, sugars, and additives designed to keep them crisp, golden, and identical from one country to the next. It's the kind of system you'd expect in a factory, not a kitchen. But the deeper you go into McDonald's operations, the more one question keeps coming up. Why does the company fight so hard to preserve these methods? Why not simply use better meat? Why not rely less on additives? Why not reduce chemicals, fillers, or uniform molds? The answer is scale. McDonald's doesn't operate like a restaurant chain with 300 stores. It operates like a global monopoly with 38,000. When you operate at that level, everything becomes about margins. A 1-cent savings on a patty becomes tens of millions of dollars a year. A faster cook time becomes massive labor savings. A tighter supply chain becomes billions in profit. Once you understand that scale, you begin to understand why McDonald's is so resistant to change. But while McDonald's is optimizing everything behind the scenes, customers are left trying to make sense of a menu that looks simple but is engineered down to the molecule. People assume they're buying a burger made from beef or nuggets made from chicken. In reality, they're buying products created through layers of industrial design, chemistry, and economic strategy. And this disconnect is why so many customers feel misled. They think they're eating a traditional meal. Instead, they're eating something that's been optimized for cost, not for nutrition or authenticity. What's even more concerning is how these practices have quietly shaped the public's perception of food. Millions of people think uniform nuggets, perfectly circular patties, and identical flavors across continents are normal. But real food doesn't behave like that. Real food changes. It varies. It responds to cooking methods, seasonal changes, and freshness. McDonald's food eliminates all of that. It teaches people to expect sameness, not quality. And that expectation bleeds into the rest of the food industry, pushing other companies to adopt similar practices so they can compete. And here's where things get even more interesting. McDonald's isn't just shaping how people eat. It's shaping how farmers operate. Because the chain demands such consistent products, farms have had to industrialize. Chickens are raised to grow faster and fatter because the nuggets require a certain texture. Cattle are processed in massive facilities because the patties must be uniform. Farmers lose autonomy because the supply chain demands predictability. When you buy McDonald's, you're buying into a system that influences agriculture on a global scale, not just fast food. And that influence extends to public policy as well. McDonald's spends millions lobbying every year to protect the methods that make their system profitable. Whether it's the use of antibiotics in livestock, the labeling requirements on menus, or the regulations surrounding meat processing, McDonald's is always at the table. They're not just selling food. They're shaping the rules of the food economy. And all of this leads to one final point. The experience of eating McDonald's isn't just about taste. It's about conditioning. Customers have been trained to accept identical food, engineered flavor, and lower quality ingredients wrapped in shiny branding. They've been conditioned to accept pre-processed meals as normal. They've been conditioned to see convenience as more valuable than quality. And the more people accept it, the more the industry shifts toward that model. The truth is, McDonald's has mastered something more powerful than cooking. They've mastered familiarity. They've mastered emotional comfort. They've mastered the ritual of grabbing a quick meal that tastes exactly like you remember. And that's why people come back, even after learning how the food is made. Because consistency, convenience, and nostalgia are some of the strongest forces in consumer behavior. But once you peel back the curtain and see the machinery behind the meal, you can never look at that burger or nugget the same way again. You realize the taste you've known your whole life wasn't made in a kitchen. It was made in a lab. The shapes weren't carved. They were molded. The ingredients weren't selected for flavor. They were selected for cost. And the meal wasn't cooked fresh. It was assembled. And that's the reality millions of customers never think about as they pull into the drive-thru. They're buying food engineered for efficiency, not nutrition. Food optimized for profit, not authenticity. Food designed to be identical, not real. And once you understand that, everything about McDonald's starts to make sense. Not as a restaurant, but as one of the most efficient factories in the world disguised behind a smiling pair of golden arches.